Dear viewers of the Tom Photo channel, the Fujifilm X-T20 is currently one of my favorite cameras for casual everyday photography due to its amazing capabilities and small, compact size. My review of the X-T20 and its comparison with other similar Fuji cameras is linked below, along with many other videos related to my current review. Please check them out. But today I'd like to share my favorite settings for the Fuji X-T20. I usually photograph in S mode using aperture priority. My favorite button is the exposure compensation button. I turn it almost as often as I turn the on-off switch. I use image size L or large and an aspect ratio of 3:2. There is no reason to switch to 16:9 because this simply crops the top and bottom, which you can do in post-processing. I always record JPEG and uncompressed RAW files in parallel. This way I can decide which to use later. Film simulation is a lengthy topic and I've reviewed it before. The more I use it, the more I like the standard film simulation. It really is a versatile one. I also like Velvia with retro lenses like my Helios 44-2 and classic chrome for city photography. My favorite film simulation for filming is ProNeg standard. However, I can think of a good use for each film simulation. I've never had my camera introduce grain. If needed, this can be done in post-processing, so the grain effect is turned off. My dynamic range is usually set to 200%. This provides a good balance between contrast and detail. I might reduce it to 100% if I want less detail. My white balance is set to auto. If I ever need to change it, I'll do so via the RAW file. Next are the highlight and shadow tone settings. I dedicated a whole video to these topics. As usual, see the links under the video. These are clever ways to modify your JPEG image by altering the tonal curve during photography. I seldom find reason to increase these values, but in high contrast situations, I'll turn them down into the negative. Play with these settings, they can really help you. Color is a way to adjust the saturation of the photo. I only use it for Velvia and classic chrome. Velvia sometimes benefits from color -1 and classic chrome might benefit from color +1 in my hands. Sharpness and noise reduction are nice options to have, but I always apply these in post-processing or via the RAW file route. If anything, I might sometimes reduce them rather than increase them. Extra sharpening by the camera is something I don't like at all. My color space is sRGB. Moving on to the AF/MF tab. I always use only single point focusing. Zone is too automatic for me, and tracking is something I don't rely on much. I have used it, but I'm much more likely to combine single point with manual focusing or pre-focusing to capture moving objects. AFC custom settings determine how fast and how often the camera tries to focus. This is quite important for video. Start with the standard setting or option number 1. My AF point display is off. This means that the on-screen or viewfinder display of the autofocus points is not visible to the user during shooting. You have a choice between 91 and 325 focus points. While there are specific reasons to use the smaller number, such as improved focus in key areas of the frame, the larger number works better for focus tracking. My pre-AF is off. This feature allows the camera to continuously adjust focus even before you fully press the shutter button. The AF illuminator is on my camera. This helps with autofocus in low light conditions. Face and eye detection is a relevant topic. In fact, I have programmed my function button to toggle between face recognition on and off. When used, I like the face on/eye auto option the most. I keep the AF+MF in the on position for more flexibility. Then I can do initial focusing automatically and then modify it manually. The X-T20 has focus peaking, called MF Assist here. This is something I like and use a lot. With manual lenses, it is nice to clearly see where you focus. The areas in focus are highlighted. For focus peaking, I like highlight red high. This is more visible than the other options. Focus check is turned on. Interlock spot, AE and focus area is turned on. In this mode, the camera will use the focus point you have selected for both focusing and metering. Instant AF setting is set to AFS. This determines how the camera behaves when you use manual focus but want to temporarily activate autofocus. The depth of field scale is in pixels. Release/focus priority is important for how the camera behaves when using autofocus in different scenarios. It offers release and focus priority for AFS and AFC, or single and continuous focus. In release priority, the camera takes a photo immediately when the shutter release is pressed. However, in focus priority, it takes time to make sure that the focus is fully locked. I might prefer the latter option in portrait photography, but the first option when I ensure that focusing is correct myself. My touchscreen mode is AF. In AF mode, you touch the screen to set the focus area and focus, but you do not take picture automatically. In area mode, you can move the focus area, but the camera will not automatically refocus or take the picture. Moving on to the camera icon or the shooting settings. My bracketing 1 setting is auto exposure bracketing. This means that the camera will take 3 photos upon pressing the shutter release with different exposure settings. The bracketing itself is set at ± 2/3 for me. The bracketing 2 setting is at film simulation bracketing, but I very seldom use that. You can create all film simulations from the raw file on your camera later on. The self-timer is important. I use at least 2-second, but preferably a 10-second self-timer for tripod shots. Interval timer shooting is great for time-lapse photography. Set your camera to shoot every so many seconds and then convert it into time-lapse. When doing this, I recommend switching to the electronic shutter to conserve the shutter mechanism. This is also great for group pictures. Automatically taking 20 pictures will hopefully result in at least one where everyone's eyes are open. Shutter type is mechanical plus electronic for me. This means that the camera will use the mechanical shutter when possible, or electronic when the shutter needs to be super fast. The mechanical shutter is still preferred because it results in fewer motion aberrations. Some say you also get better dynamic range with it, but I have not yet done careful experiments to that effect. One day I will. My IS mode is continuous plus motion. It probably consumes the most power, but I think it's worth it. My ISO varies depending on the situation. Casually, I have it set to auto with 3200 as the maximum value and the lowest value as the preferred value. You can also set the slowest allowed shutter speed, and I like this option. The flash menu of this camera is quite short. The simplest to understand parameter you can change is the flash compensation or strength. Because the built-in flash is quite weak, my default setting is +2. I have produced a special flash video where I talk more about how flash works. Please check it out down below. The flash has TTL or through the lens mode. This means the flash can adjust its output based on light seen through the lens. There are 2 modes, TTL and TTL slow. The standard TTL tries to freeze motion and avoid blur. TTL slow uses longer shutter speeds to let in more light in order to capture more ambient light in the background. I sometimes like to use TTL slow in landscape photos when shooting from the tripod. The internal flash can be set to front or rear. This refers to when the flash fires during the exposure of a photo, at the beginning of the exposure or at the end. This is relevant when you're using a slow shutter speed and want to control how much motion is captured in relation to the flash. Use front curtain sync with normal static subjects like people. Use rear curtain flash for cool motion effects. This way the motion blur will be behind the moving object, not in front of it. I'll explain more in a future video, please stay tuned. The red eye removal is off because I never use my flash this way. TTL lock mode applies to normal through the lens flash. Lock with a flash will ensure that your series of flash photos is illuminated the same way, based on the metering for the first flash. Lock with metering flash will find the best flash for each photo in the series, even if this creates inconsistency. So this setting will largely depend on your application. Moving on to video settings. The X-T20 can record very nice video. However, it utilizes line skipping when recording. This is common with most cameras of similar specs. However, the video is still very nice. The camera can do 4K, but only at 30 frames per second. Movie AF mode offers you multi or area. In multi, the camera chooses the closest focus point across the entire frame. In area mode, it only considers a particular area selected by you. I like this for more precise focusing, but most often I use fully manual focusing when recording video. You have many options under the wrench icon as well. I have disabled most sound effects. However, you probably want to choose some sound for the electronic shutter. I've never experimented much with the screen colors or brightness settings. They are all at default, and I think they're fine. My image display is continuous. This means it will display each new photo immediately as long as you want it. EVF Auto Rotate display is on to automatically rotate the photos to normal orientation. If I ever use framing guidelines, it would be the 9:9 as it is good for the rule of thirds. My auto rotate PB is on and the focus scale is in meters. The camera has buttons that can be programmed. It really is a matter of preference here. My function button governs face recognition, but I do not feel very strongly about the other buttons. This is a summary of what the other buttons do. I think many of my settings are the default ones. My quick menu contains the essentials as suggested by the camera itself, and I like that. However, please note that you can change the quick menu under the wrench icon. Shoot without lens is on because this allows me to use manual retro lenses with this camera. The focus ring operates in a clockwise fashion. AE/AF lock mode is P, which means that these buttons are on when pressed, rather than functioning as on and off switches for these lock buttons. This is better because otherwise you will forget if it was on or off. The small icons somewhere on the screen do not help very much. The aperture setting is auto plus manual for maximal flexibility. Power management is quite important. My camera will turn off after 2 minutes of idling, and the screen performance is set to standard. My frame numbering is continuous. You can add something in the copyright info like your name to be written in the EXIF data. I did not mention absolutely every possible setting. If you'd like more information, please leave a note in the comments. When you first press the playback button and then the menu button, you will enter a retouch domain. There you can do photo manipulations such as crop, resize, rotate, etc. I do not generally use these features because the camera screen is too small and the buttons are too clumsy. I prefer to do it all on my own computer, but the options are there for you. But I'd like to point out the RAW conversion option, which is extremely useful. It allows you to modify all kinds of parameters like color, sharpness, noise, and more. But most importantly, you can now convert your RAW file to any Fujifilm simulation. Simply choose your simulation and press the button. So you can shoot only RAW files and still get any film simulation later on. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to support me, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Also, check out the additional videos in the text box. Enjoy your photography with a very special Fuji X-T20. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.